welcome to At Home today. We're so glad you could be with us. It's always nice when you're here in your special place each time that we come into your home. And when you're not there, we miss you. We miss you immensely. You know, I've been thinking a lot recently about fear. You say, well, that's not exactly a pleasant topic to be thinking about. But you know, I think you have to know who your enemy is. And many times, fear will rear its ugly head, and we think it's anything else but fear. We say it's circumstances, it's this, it's that. Do you know that fear can make people do things that they would never, ever do any other time? Fear can be a negative force, it can be a positive force. I want to talk about the negative force that is at work many times in our lives to make us fearful to try a new job adventure, to try a new recipe, to try to do something that everybody's told you, maybe even your parents in your early life said, you'll never make it, you can't do that. And that little thought has been planted in your mind, and you think, I can't do it, and you never try. Now I want to tell you today, if a few years ago someone had said, Arlene, you'll be sitting in front of a television camera, and you'll be talking to people about fear, and then you'll be making some recipes for them, and your program will be on a whole lot of stations, and people will send for your recipes, I would have told them absolutely no, there's no way, I'd be too afraid. And yet here I am, this many years later, doing this program. So fear is something you have to face head on. The Bible says that fear hath torment. And if you've ever been overwhelmed or anxious by fear, fear of the unknown, fear that something's going to happen to you, fear that something will happen to your family, then you know exactly what I'm talking about when I say that fear has torment. But the way to conquer that fear is to hit it head on. Say, oh, I'm not afraid to drive because I know I'm going to be all right. Don't let fear rule you. You rule fear. And don't ever be afraid to try something. If you don't venture to try it, you don't know if you can or not. And pretty soon, when a little bit of fear takes over in your mind and you don't fight that fear, then it grows and then it starts to touch other areas of your life. Pretty soon, you are full of fear and your mind is full of fear. And it almost gets to the point where you're totally paralyzed and you do not try to do anything because you're fearful. Do you know someone like this? Maybe I'm talking to you today. I want you to know that you don't have to live with that fear. That fear can be dispelled because the Bible tells us, God's Word tells us, that God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. That's your prescription for good mental health. God says, I have not given you that fearfulness that you feel, but I have given you the power of love and of a sound mind and no fear. So if you're fearful today, just stop and ask Jesus to take the fear away and then begin to walk and fight against that fear every time you have a chance. Fear of flying in a plane? When you have to, you do it with the knowledge it will be okay. It will be all right. So face your fears today. And I'm talking to me too. And I'm talking to everybody here and you at home. Face your fears. You never know until you try really what you can do. Well, today we're going to do some really special things on At Home. We're doing a whole program on making pies. So we'll get started in just a moment, but here's today's At Home hint. Here's today's at-home hint. Vegetables come alive with lemon butters. Just melt a half a cup of butter and add the grated peel and juice of a half a lemon. Add your favorite dried or fresh herb if desired. This is super over asparagus, broccoli, or green beans.
If you have an at-home hint, a favorite recipe, or just a friendly greeting you'd like to share, we'd like to hear from you. Post it in the comments of this video or visit our Facebook page.
Well, welcome back. The first pie that we're going to do today, it's called easy caramel apple pie. And it's real different because you start out with a frozen pie crust, unbaked. These come in a package in the frozen food section of your market, hopefully Foodland. And now what we're going to do is take, these are the little caramels, you know, like you make caramel apples. We've taken 10 of them and cut them in quarters. We put those in the bowl first, okay? And then we're going to use 1/3 cup of flour, and we're going to coat the caramels with the flour because that will help us to, when these melt, they'll melt evenly and they won't all sink to the bottom of the pie shell. Now what we're going to add to that is some apples, and this is about, I'd say 3 to 4 cups of Jonathan or Macintosh apples, and we've cubed them. We didn't cut them like pie slices, we've cubed them, and we're going to cover, we're just using that flour to cover everything that we are making here today with the apples and the caramels. And we have some, this is caramel ice cream topping, about 2/3 cup. Add this in. If you're looking for low fat, low calorie today, this is not the day because hard to make pies without fats and without calories. It's just a shame that somebody hasn't come up with something that we could do, but this isn't something you'd eat every day anyway. This is occasionally. Now we're going to add a couple of teaspoons of lemon juice, which is really unusual. I think it's so that these will not brown, the apples will not get real browned. And you would not want to do your apples real far in advance because they would turn brown, so you don't want that to happen. And you just mix this all together, trying to get that flour incorporated up over. You can see it's really getting sticky and gooey. That's exactly the way it should look. And we're going to spoon this so I get it mixed a little bit better. Here we go. We're going to spoon this into our pie crust. Now you don't want it to thaw. If this is a frozen pie crust, keep it frozen. That's okay because it will definitely bake in the oven along with the apples and the caramels. Now you notice we haven't added sugar because the caramel is what's going to be sweetening these apples, and the flour will thicken them. Kind of an easy way to do an apple pie. We don't put a crust on the top because this is a different look to a pie. You want to make sure that that's totally evenly distributed. Then we're going to take some pecans and we'll just sprinkle those. They can be chopped or they can be whole. This is about 1/2 cup. And the oven should be preheating it before you even begin to put it together because you want it to be good and hot. And this pie will bake at 375 degrees for 40 to 45 minutes. And that's going to go in our lower oven here. 375 degrees for 40 to 45 minutes. And when it comes out, it has a really nice topping to it. And amazing how good that looks and how easy it is to cut. I need some cloth so some of the girls would get me some towels. All right, now we're going to make a coconut custard pie. And this pie, you start out with a 9-inch highly fluted crust. And I want you to take a look at this crust because this is a refrigerated crust. If you like to make your own pie crust, that's fine. But these are very convenient, very easy. And it says highly fluted because by the time you make the filling and you pour it in there and you get it to the oven, you have to watch it doesn't spill. So you don't want a low flute. So that's why we have very simply and very easily, let me just demonstrate to you. You take your 2 fingers like this, put them on the crust, and your thumb, and just push in, push in, push in. That's as easy as it is. That's the way you flute. You turn it and just keep pushing in, move to the next one. Pretty soon you have your whole crust fluted, and that makes it really decorative and pretty too, and it doesn't brown as quickly and easily. Thank you very much, Sandra. Appreciate it. Got that caramel on my fingers. It's driving me nuts. And so that's what they talk about, highly fluted crust, all right? Now we're going to make, this is a coconut custard pie. In the bowl, we've already placed 2 cups of milk. Now we're going to add about 3/4 cup of coconut, and this is the flaked coconut. You can use shredded if you want to or whatever, but this is flaked. And then 1/3 to 1/2 cup of sugar. If you like it real sweet, the coconut, you must remember, is a little bit on the sweet side, so I'm just going to use 1/3 cup there. And a little bit of salt. need some salt, and that's just a pinch. Well, actually it says about 1/4 of a teaspoon, which is probably about a pinch. And a teaspoon of vanilla. Pour that in. And our pie crust, and 3 eggs. Now these 3 eggs need to be slightly beaten, so we're going to put them in the bowl first and beat them. And I think that they just incorporate better with the milk and everything if you beat them beforehand. Too hard to do that when they're mixed with other ingredients. So we'll just take a fork, and you can see that this is not hard to make. This makes a delicious pie. My mom used to absolutely love coconut custard pie. And either you really like it or you don't. And you know there's eggs in it and stuff, and some people like the pudding coconut cream pie better. But Mama always liked this one. We're just going to put that there. All right. Now we're going to mix it up. Not hard, and you can see it's very thin. It's not really even that thick. But we'll mix it up very well, just like that. And this pie goes into a 425-degree preheated oven. Really important to do that. Basically, the sugar and the milk and the eggs and the vanilla make the custard kind of part of this, and then the coconut adds the flavor to it. So this is a custard, basic custard recipe. Then when you add the coconut to it, it makes it coconut custard. And we can pour this right into the pie shell, and you'll see that this comes up very high. All right? Scary at first, isn't it? Because you think, oh, what if it doesn't stop? But it does. And we're going to put this in the oven, and we're going to take a break. And when we come back, I've got another low-fat, low-calorie pie for us to make in just a moment. We'll be right back.
Do you love watching At Home with Arlene Williams? Then be sure to check out our new YouTube channel. It's filled with classic episodes from over 20 years of At Home, and more videos are added each day. And don't forget to click the subscribe button so you'll never miss another episode of At Home.
Well, we're back in the third pie that we're making. Now, we've already made the caramel apple, and we've made that wonderful coconut custard pie. They're both in the oven baking now. The third one is called honey pumpkin, and this would be great for Thanksgiving or the holiday time when you want to like cut back on some of the fats and some of the sugar. You can do that with this. And first of all, we're going to make the graham cracker crust, because that's different. You don't use the flaky crust, you use a graham cracker. Basically, I have about 1 1/4 cups of graham cracker crumbs, sorry, 1 1/4 cups, and about 1/3 of a cup of melted butter. Now, you could use, I'm sure you could use like some of the substitutes for butter that are on the market now. I believe that that would work perfectly in their liquid form, if you know what I mean, okay? And we mix this around, and you want to make sure that all of the crumbs have some of the butter. You know, you have to really mix it well, because this is going to be put into your pie plate. And I'll tell you the truth, what I like to do sometimes, you know, you only have so many glass pie plates. Sometimes you make a pie and you want to take it to the neighbor or take it to a friend, then you don't get your pie plate back. And then it gets pretty costly to keep buying pie plates, so I've invested in some of these, and these work nice. They don't look as nice, but they work all right. Now you just dump's not a nice word. You pour your cracker crumbs and your butter into your pie plate, your pie shell, all right? And with a fork, just start to distribute them. And first of all, I always work the edge up the sides, because then the center will be all right if you get the sides working. And come clear up to the edge if you can, because you want to make that a nice solid surface, because it has to support the filling. And if you don't do that, that will not work well. You'll have crumbs all through the filling, and it will not taste good. All right, now once you get that done, then you start working with the bottom of the pie shell, and evenly distribute your crumbs so that you don't have one piece that has real thick crumbs and the other piece that has thin crumbs, because you won't be able to get the pie out of the shell. Now, once you do this, you have your oven preheating while you're making the this crust, And really, it's so much cheaper than the ones that you can buy prepared. Now, if you're in a hurry, of course, that can mean a lot of time saved, but it also is going to cost you money. Just remember, every convenience that you buy at the store, you're paying for it. And if you have the luxury of that and you don't have the luxury of time, then that's the way to go. But look, that's all the longer this took for me to do this. And you're only going to bake this for 6 to 8 minutes at 375 degrees. And when it's done, it looks just like this. All right. Now, at that point, you don't have to let it cool, but it has to be baked that long because that just makes a firm foundation for the filling. And the filling is very simple to do. We're going to start, first of all, with 2 eggs. We'll break those in our bowl. Again, this is called a honey pumpkin pie. And you know that what we're using to sweeten it with is the honey and not sugar or brown sugar, white sugar, whatever. But this says that we have to do this until these are good and frothy. So we will. This will make enough filling for 1 pie, one like that. And when they become foamy, about a minute or so, then we're going to start to add some other things to it. It's really important to do this because the eggs have to be frothy so it receives the other ingredients. Okay? Let's give it another little shot of power and take it up some more. There we go. See how they're getting frothy? That's what we have to do. There we are. All right, now we're going to add some honey. See my little, here we go. This is about 1/4 cup of honey. We're going to add it right to the eggs, just like that. That honey is so golden, it's beautiful. Isn't it interesting how God made the bees to make the honey and all of that? It just is amazing to me that He had a plan in all of these things. And they continue on, and man takes them and changes them, but the original state is still the best in some of these things that God creates. All right, now we're going to take 1 cup of evaporated milk, skimmed milk. This is evaporated skimmed milk. And we're going to add this. Doesn't look like the other, but it's okay. It's evaporated skimmed milk, 1 cup. There we are. And we're going to take 1 cup of canned pumpkin. Just get that out of there. You can use the same one, it won't hurt at all. We'll just pour that in like that. Make sure, tap it down so it goes in the corners. And there we are. 1 cup. Put a little bit of that back in. That goes in next. This is a really creamy filling. And honest, when you see the finished product, you could use this in a regular pie shell if you didn't particularly like the graham cracker crust, because the filling looks so much like regular pumpkin pie. And I think when you're watching your calories, and it's important that what you're eating looks like what everybody else is eating. Do you know what I mean? If you feel like you're the only person out there that has this thing that doesn't supposed to taste like pumpkin pie and it doesn't even look like it, then it's not going to be pleasing to you, and then you're going to feel deprived. But not so with this. All right, we have our milk, we have our canned pumpkin. Now we're going to do about 1½ teaspoons of pumpkin pie spice. More or less to taste, that's why I'm not measuring. You can do what you want to here. That would give it a real strong flavor of pumpkin too. Then we have some orange juice concentrate. I thought this was very interesting. This is 2 teaspoons, and this is just the frozen concentrate that's been thawed. Just 2 teaspoons of that. And I think that's just going to bolster up the flavor that maybe is lacking from the absence of fats and sugars. And again, we need just a nip of salt, which I think is very interesting. Just 1/4 teaspoon, all right? And we're going to beat this with the mixer, again, until it's very, very creamy and smooth. And you'll see this come up here in just a minute. Again, it's the 2 eggs, 1/4 cup of honey. Hey, here we go. 1/4 cup of honey, a cup of skimmed evaporated milk, a cup of canned pumpkin, 2 teaspoons of frozen orange juice concentrate that's been thawed, your graham cracker crust and a little bit of pinch of salt, and you cut this down a little bit. Here, come on, there we go. And you have your filling for your honey pumpkin pie. That didn't take long. Okay, get this out of the way. What we're gonna do now is pour this into our crust, and you wanna scrape the bottom to make sure that it's all been totally blended well, and it has. Now we just pour this in. This will go in the 375 degree, look how nice and thick that is. 375 degree oven, and it's going to bake for 60 to 65 minutes. Now, I've made this, and I want to caution you, start checking it after about 45 minutes. And the way you check this is you take a clean knife and you plunge it into about the center of the pie after it's baked for 45 minutes. If it comes out clean and there's nothing on here, then you know it's done. If it's a little bit of the filling is sticking to it, do another 5 minutes. In the same place, pierce it again. Don't make holes all over your pie because it doesn't look nice. And then you just keep testing it like that. When this comes out clean, then you know that it's very much done and it's time to bring it out. We'll be right back with the wrap up in just a minute. While I put this in the oven, you listen to these important messages.
Just go to ctvn.org/athome to get all the recipes from today's show for free. That's right, no subscriptions. They're available online at no cost, and more are being added each day. So join us at ctvn.org/athome to get today's recipes now.
Well, I hope you've been enjoying the program today because we did pies, and I want to show you just what the finished product looks like. This is that wonderful caramel apple pie. You can do the pecans or you can do almonds, either one. This one we happen to have the almonds on, but pecans are great too. And this is with the frozen crust, remember? Okay. The coconut, look at this. Oh, coconut custard pie, my mom's favorite. So easy, so delicious. Remember, always keep that one refrigerated. Any leftovers, in case you don't eat it all up when you serve it, please be sure to put it in the refrigerator. And this is our low-fat, low-calorie honey pumpkin pie. And I think it makes a really nice presentation. I think this would be nice on anybody's Thanksgiving or any day table. Just some ideas what you can do. You saw that they didn't take long to do. They don't, they aren't complicated or involved recipes. Very simple 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-step recipes. We appreciate your watching us. We're so glad that you're part of our family. And I hope that you'll try one of these pie recipes on your family. Not hard to do. And how about when the neighbor moves into your neighborhood and you just want to do something nice to welcome them? One of these pies, very simple, very quick to make, and very much appreciated. Appreciate you. So be sure to join us the next time because it just wouldn't be the same without you here at home. We'll see you then. Bye-bye now.
Don't forget to click the subscribe button so you'll never miss another episode of At Home. Thank you for watching.
Fresh produce provided by Jordan Banana, wholesalers of fresh fruit and vegetables in Dravosburg, Pennsylvania. Appliances provided by Decor Distinctive Appliances, a reflection of your good taste. Groceries provided by Foodland, where the answer is always yes. Cornerstone Television wishes to thank all our faithful viewers whose consistent prayers and financial support have made this program possible.